This couple waited 18 years for a child. When the miracle finally came, they celebrated with their last penny. But that same child would one day forget the very woman who gave him life. Before I continue, kindly hit the plus button and follow me, and then watch the full video on YouTube. In a small riverside community on the edge of Makurdi, lived a humble couple, Terna and Dooshima. They were poor, but their hearts were full. For 18 long years, they hoped and prayed for a child. People mocked them, called them cursed, but they never stopped believing. Then one morning, their prayers were answered. Dooshima was finally pregnant. When the baby came, the whole neighborhood celebrated. They named him Terna, meaning the Lord remembers. They spent everything they had on his naming celebration. It didn't matter if hunger waited the next day. For once, their laughter echoed louder than their pain. They believed their miracle had changed everything. But life has its own plans. 5 years later, tragedy struck. Terna, who worked in a rice factory across town, had a terrible accident at work. His leg was crushed by a machine. The company he served for years turned their backs on him. He could no longer walk properly or walk again. Dooshima became the strength of the home. She washed clothes, sold akara by the roadside, and cleaned offices, just to keep her husband and son alive. One cold morning, Terna closed his eyes forever. He had passed on. Dooshima was shattered, but instead of breaking, she became strong. She held her son close and said, "Terna, my son, your father's dream now lives in you." From that day, she worked day and night. She skipped meals, walked miles under the sun, and wore rags just to save a little. She made sure Terna stayed in school no matter what it cost her. Terna grew into a brilliant young man. In school, he was top of his class, the best. At the university, he graduated with first-class honors. Dooshima cried tears of pride at his graduation. "My tears have finally turned to laughter," she told everyone. Then came the big news. Terna won a scholarship to study abroad. Their small house by the river erupted in celebration. They called her Mama First Class. At first, Terna called home every week. He sent pictures, promised to build a new house for his mother. But soon, the calls became shorter. Then he stopped calling. He met a rich woman abroad, a woman from a powerful family. They married quietly without telling his mother. He began to feel ashamed of his background. When people asked, he said his mother had died long ago. Dooshima kept trying to reach him, but his phone never went through. When she fell ill and news reached him, he sent a small amount through an uncle, and that was all. As her health worsened, she would sit by the window every evening, staring at the dusty road that led to Makurdi city, hoping her son would appear. But that day never came. She died quietly one morning, clutching his old graduation photo. The neighbor said he died with a smile. When Terna finally heard, he flew home, but it was too late. She was already buried. The elders said nothing, only their silence judged him. One of them said, "A child who forgets his roots loses his soul." Back abroad, his wife discovered the truth, that while he lived in comfort, his mother had died in suffering. She was disgusted. "How could you?" she asked. And that was the last thing she said before she left. Then came the storm. He lost his job, his friends, his home. Rumors spread that his wife's family ruined his reputation. He was arrested after a false accusation during their divorce. When he got out, he had nothing, and soon he was deported back to the same place he once called too poor to visit. Now he lives quietly by the same river Benue that once fed his childhood. Every morning, he walks to his mother's grave, saying, "Mama, I am sorry, I was blind." But graves do not answer, and apologies do not bring back time. Today, when people see him sitting alone, they shake their heads and say, he had everything except gratitude. Because sometimes, the loudest cry in life is the one that comes after everyone stops listening. Do not forget your parents. Take good care of them.